My name is Lily, and I am a psychic spiritual advisor, and I am so excited to have a soulful self-care conversation
Hello,
with Pearl.
sunshine, good to see you again. Had to walk out to let you back in. Stuck in a storm of a relationship. Lost my fire. Oh, and I forgot about me for way too long. But it's rolled on. Now there ain't no shade around here. Once you leave.
Hey everybody, it's Pearl Chiarenza, and I just want to welcome you back to another Soulful Self-Care Conversation. And this one's kind of full circle for me because the show, as you can tell by now, has got a whole new name. We kind of have a different format, somewhat the same, but different format. We really want to hone into how are you filling your cup, and actually how are you overfilling your cup with your soul? How are you taking care of your self-care? And today we actually have somebody coming back on that was on our other previously named Conversations of Pearl podcast. And so I love our next guest. Her energy is so much fun, and what she does really calls to my heart. If you follow the show, you know how I always talk about it. I feel, hear, and talk to my son Matthew all the time. So with no further ado, I want to introduce you to our guest. Her name is Lily McNamara. She is a psychic spiritual advisor offering services and events to help people be the hero of their own story. Psychic medium, tarot reader, and Reiki Master. I love Reiki. Trained in a dozen techniques from around the world, helping thousands of people for the past 20 years rock their authentic selves and unlock their awesomeness. So, Lily, welcome back to the show. It's so exciting to have you back on.
I was really stoked when you slid into my DMs and was like, "Hey, want to come back?" I was like, "Yes, let's do it." When? I'm there.
It's so much fun. I love having people come back on, especially with a new format, just sort of catching up, hearing what you're doing. And I know we were talking a little bit before we started recording. So we're going to talk about some of the things that Lily and I were chatting about before we hit the record as well. But if you just are joining us, I want you to like, subscribe, and follow below. Leave a comment. In the meantime, if you're driving, just sit back and listen as you drive safely. Everything we talk about will be in the show notes, so you'll be able to come back and find them, whether you listen to on any of the podcast platforms or follow us on YouTube. And if you're back for the second time, where you have the opportunity to be sitting down with a cup of tea, because I am not a coffee drinker, but you can have your coffee too if you want to. I want you to just take some notes, have pen and paper out, and maybe text a girlfriend to come listen with you. But in the meantime, welcome Lily to the show. I want to play a game with Lily. I don't recall if we did this before because it's something new I added sometime over the last year. But Lily, I want to talk to little Lily. I want to talk to the little girl Lily who growing up, she had all these dreams. Maybe she was a tomboy, maybe she played with Barbies. She just had all these thoughts about what she wanted to be when she became that adult Lily when she was growing up, right? I know, like for me, if you're listening to the show before, often you guys are going to hear me. I'm going to repeat it again. Of course, I have to share it again. Is that I wanted to be a teacher growing up. Like I wanted to be an elementary school teacher. And unfortunately, I didn't have that path and ability to go to school and to accomplish that. However, I was talking with a friend. I was like, I really feel like I'm doing that because I think the kids that I would have taught back at that time are all adult women now that I'm coaching, is how I look at it. I just get them a little bit later in their elementary life. But that's what I wanted to be. Lily was a teacher growing up. So introduce us to little Lily. What did she want to be when she was growing up? And how does it compare to what you're doing today?
It was constantly changing based on what I was learning, what I was doing, what I was interested in. Yay to the ADHD kid. I wanted to be a lawyer. I wanted to be a clown in a circus. I wanted to sell hot dogs on a street because of a children's book that I read that I loved. I wanted to be a mom. I wanted to be all these things. And I think that's really the power of being a child and also embracing our inner child, even in the present day, is that the possibilities truly are endless of who you can be and the potential that your soul holds. So it's never too late to like make your childish dreams come true, no matter what they are. I am not a lawyer. I am not a clown. I am called a cartoon character on a very regular basis, which let's be honest, is just yes. Yes. If I could be more animated and like not get arrested, I would. I absolutely would be that person. So it's hope. Inner child is just it's hope and possibility and potential all rolled into like magic.
I love that you described that. And if you're listening for the 20th time, how long you've been listening, you often hear kind of similar but very opposite. Like we get to hear about, oh, I wanted to be, like you said, a lawyer. And today this is what I'm doing. I love that you are telling the inner child she's still on the ride with you. Like she's still riding along with you. You're still having fun with her. Like you're still living that inner child. That little girl is still riding along with Lily. She's right beside you. You're just, the two of you together in one and still having fun. And it's funny you said that about I wanted to be a Disney character growing up. That was my goal. And I'm not far from Disney World at all. I'm like an hour away. And I keep saying my bucket list. So if anybody's listening that has these like fun, I don't need to make a wish, but kind of a wish kind of thing. I always want to play Goofy and at Disney World. That's the character I always wanted to do at Disney World. Don't ask me why. It just was something that's fun to do. And I remember when we moved here from Virginia to Florida and we took the kids to Disney World, I was like telling the boys, gosh, this is what I want to do growing up. So you guys can, if that's something you want to do, now we live here, you can go live out your dream. And I remember one of my boys, I think what was saying, it's like, really, Mom, I'm going to go be a cartoon character. Are you crazy? But that's just who I am. And I love that you said, that they're still calling you a cartoon because you do. One of the things I love about you, Lillian, for those that are listening, if you're not watching us on YouTube, like she's got the brightest smile that just draws you right in and just makes you feel like this is home. This is so much fun. And life is fun. Life is about taking that little girl with you. And if you're listening to us and maybe you thought, well, your little girl had some trauma she's been through or some tough things, we get it. We understand. And she can still come along for the ride and start having fun. It's never too late. And also, it's never too late to start having fun in life. And I love that you reminded us of that, which kind of leads me into something we were talking about before. In life, we think that we cannot be in certain rooms. We think that, oh, I'm not going to go to that event because I'm not going to fit in that room. It's not going to be the right room for me, or I'm not as equal as they are, whether it's, financially, whether it's successfully in career, whatever that might be. And you just told me a story before we came on about how you ended up in a room and you're like, oh yeah, I got this. So you want to share that story with the audience?
So in 2024 and now 2025, this has happened several times to me that I'm like, oh, wow. So we're all amazing at the things that we're amazing at. And we're like, oh, yes. And you should be high king shit at like, know it, own it, be proud, brag about it. But then there are things where it's like, ooh, I might not be as good at something else. And so I am a psychic spiritual advisor to multi-millionaires, best-selling authors. In any woo room, I'm in the top 1%. I know it. I'm in the top 1% of the world, and I know it. I started doing finance because I wanted to learn. Once you get to a certain point, you should learn about your own finances. Be a responsible adult. And at 37, I thought maybe I should try responsible adult for a little bit. But I didn't know much about finance. And I went to an event in Florida with this membership, this group that had a bunch of different tiers of participation. And I was unaware that everyone else at this event was in the top tier. They all paid $100,000 for the year to be a part of this group. I did not. And they all already had multi-millions in investing, not just in their business. And on the first day, I was like, oh, everyone's going to see it. Everyone's going to look at me and go, stupid. You don't belong here. Don't sit at our lunch table. And it is, it brings you back to your childhood, doesn't it? Where it's like, oh my God, I'm not going to sit with the cool kids at lunch. And once you get over that hurdle, you're in that room. One, enter the room no matter what, because you don't know if you're going to fit in or not. Enter the room no matter what. And then you're there and you're like, oh my God, what if I suck? What if they see me? What if they tease me? Then get over that hurdle. Because you don't have to make a fool of yourself. You don't have to like be an animated cartoon character like me. Sit there and observe and learn and grow and then talk to people. And by the end of the first day, I realized that everyone in that room was my equal. They were my equal in finance. They were my equal in business. They just happened to spend more and have more experience. But that didn't mean they were better at something than me. And it was like, oh, I can sit here. I can talk to these people. And it happened another time when I was in Arizona this past year writing a book. I took a month. I rented a house in Arizona And a group of entrepreneurs heard that I was in the area, and they're like, "Will you drive to Vegas for a day and spend the day with 12 mastermind people and do a mastermind dinner?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure. I'll do that." Bopped over. During the intro, everyone went around and like said their accomplishments. Mine were not that. And so during that, again, I was like, "Oh my gosh, everyone's gonna see that I'm an imposter, that I don't belong here." And then I just very honestly did my intro. By the end of the night, people were literally lining up to talk to me, to get a tarot reading from me, to spend time with me. So when you go into these rooms, it's okay to feel anxious, but it's just a hurdle to get over. It's not that shouldn't be the reason why you don't go into a room. It's like, "Oh, what if I don't belong?" Then you'll know, and you'll never go into that room again and waste your time. But you may go into that room and be like, "Ooh, these my people. Isn't this nice?" And then you're just gonna be fabulous.
I wrote down like enter the room. First of all, I love that you said that, like enter the room. Don't be afraid. Fear is going to hold you back from entering rooms you should be in. And when you don't enter the room, it, the result that's waiting for you because you're supposed to enter the room won't happen because you haven't entered the room, as you said, right? And then also like what you said about just sit at the table. They don't know unless you go, "Hey, well, they might say, well, you look, maybe you dress different. Maybe they'll notice something different that way or, whatever. But they're not going to be like, well, let me see your bank account, whatever. Unless you start saying they're not going to sit down at the table. And because even like, I love what you said, like observe and then absorb, right? I wrote that down, observe and absorb. Observe how do they enter the room? How do they hold themselves? How do they talk to somebody, right? Observe that and then take some of that and be like, well, I like how that person handled this kind of conversation. I like how that person walked in the room. Take some of that, absorb that, and incorporate that. You don't have to copy and paste. You don't have to be what you see as you enter the room. But if you don't put yourself in people who are a level or two above you and you stay with the people that are your level, guess what happens? You stay at the level of where the people you're with. It's just like they talk about in dieting, right? I was sharing this story the other night with a group. I was sharing how statistics show if you are on a plan to become healthier and the five closest people you hang out with trying to get healthy is how you're going to eat. And I learned that when I was on my healthy journey and I sat back and I love my friends. If any of them are listening, there's nothing against them. And they're probably going to figure out my trick. I love my friends. I'm like, well, they like to eat and drink is all around everything we do. Right. And it was becoming like it was going to inhibit my journey, how I wanted to change my life and my eating habits. So I had to come up with a plan because I love these people. I don't want to not pick them. And being in your 40s and 50s, it's a lot harder to find good friends sometimes, that you can trust and know, like, and want to be around. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to go into the room or into this event or into this restaurant. I'm going to come in not late, but maybe a little after I know they've ordered their drinks. I was always the person who would show up on time. I'm like, I don't have to be the first person to walk in the door. I can be a little bit late. So therefore, they've already gotten their drink. Maybe they've already ordered their appetizer, right? And then the other thing I would do is we'd sit down to eat. At some point, I caught on that, oh my God, every time I'd order, I'd say, can you put my dressing on the side? Can you not put butter on my steak? Like, that's how they make your steak taste good, everybody. They put butter on it when they cook it in the kitchen, just so you know. So I was like, can you not do that? And people would look at me. So then I decided if the waiter came to me or waitress and I was the last one to order, great, I'm going to order the way I want to. But if everybody else had an order, I'd be like, you know what? I need a little more time. Can you come back to me, please? And then they come to the end. Guess what happens, everybody? Everybody at the table is already chit-chatting about what they want to talk about. So while you're going, dressing on the side, no steak on my butter, give me this instead of that, whatever it is, they're not listening to you. So they're not going to give you a hard time, right? So really evaluating and learning. And then by me doing that, I was able to hang out with people I wanted to, but I upped my game and my health. And so it's the same thing with anything you're doing. Like what you said, Lily, we reach a point in our career and our life where, we got to take care of our finances. And so if I'm hanging out with people who don't know how to do that, I'm going to not learn anything. But if I enter a room that says, you know what, I'm going to go in a room that has all these millionaires in there. They weren't a millionaire all their life. They had to start somewhere, unless they got it from mom or dad, inheritance or something. So they start at the same place you are at the beginning. So why not? And I love that you share that when we were talking about before about, being in the room and not thinking we don't belong. You do belong. Whatever room you enter, you are put in that room because, there's a plan. Whoever you believe in, higher power, spiritual, God, whatever it is, there's a plan. So you're in that room for the reason. And I love that you share that about entering the room, right? And then one of the things that I love about you, I love what you do, because and some people are gonna listen and I'm just gonna say it right now, I'm just gonna get it out of the way. If you're listening to us and you don't believe in the things that Lily does because of your faith or whatever have you, that's great. That's your thought, that's your opinion. You are so entitled to that. I say the same thing about politics. I love you. I want to listen to you. Explain to me why, teach me, I can tell you for me, and I had actually had somebody, his name is Seth, like, Pro, you have some talent. Like, yeah, I don't want to tap into it. I don't want to tap into it. I'd rather just go talk to the people that really use that talent. Right. So Lily, what I want to know is remind us again, like we talked to the little girl that's coming along with you and you shared all these things. At what point did you know that this was the place you're supposed to be, that you're this, this person that can help us, in our life become, that psychic medium, you this Reiki and tarot. When did that like I call it your SHERO journey. When did that SHERO journey start showing up for you?
So mine is a little bit different than other people's because most people find it a little bit later in life. I was born with my gifts. I was born seeing spirits and energy and being able to help people. And I knew my entire life I wanted to help people. By the age of 10, I realized what I wanted to do with my life, and I found a mentor. I trained with them for 5 years before I started seeing clients professionally. Um, I kept growing and learning and doing new and different modalities because every soul is different, and I never want someone to come to me and be like, "Help me," and me go, "I don't have that tool in my toolbox." I'll get out the toolbox. It's a big one. It's a big one at this point. I got a big toolbox. And by the age of 30, I started an LLC. And as I grew my business, I realized that I wanted to have a larger impact on the world. And to do that, you have to have larger clients. And so most of my clients are multi-millionaires, pro athletes, best-selling authors. That is the bulk of my membership clients. And that allows me to help so many more people by creating digital products and courses that are more affordable and have access to hundreds of thousands of people, as opposed to like, oh, I could help 100 people. It's like, no, I want to help a small country amount of people. I want to help a lot. And so for me, it started really young, and there were definitely diversions. Like, I'm not gonna lie. My abuse started at 12 months old and lasted up until I was 30 years old. And that's when I was able to, through creating my business and becoming successful, I was able to escape abuse. Um, so it's like, it's not, oh my God, it was awesome and easy. It's like, no, no, no. There was a lot of like bruises and wiping up blood in between it. But I feel like that's such an important part of our hero's journey, as you call it. It's you do it. Like, it's not going to be pretty. You can build your perfect life while escaping, while leaving, while breaking toxic paradigms from your past. It is not one or the other. It is not black or white. And that, I feel, is something that a lot of people, the misconception that holds them back. They're like, okay, everything has to be perfect before I can thrive. It's like, no, I loved myself and I was successful while I was still getting hit. That's okay. Abuse is not okay. But how I got here is okay. And it's okay if your journey is just as messy as mine. Mine was a Jackson Pollock, baby. Mine was not pretty. And that's okay. And I feel like that's something that people never want to talk about. It's like, no, you had a little bit of trouble, but now look where you are. It's like, no, it's okay if it was messy.
And I'm glad you said that. It's okay that it's messy because one of the things that I do, I have the privilege of coaching at a nonprofit. It's called the Mary Martha House, and it's for women who are between homelessness or leaving, domestic violence situations. Maybe they've, gone through some overcoming challenges, trauma in their life. And last night we're actually together, and that one of the things I said is like, we all have a story, and our story is part of our journey. And it doesn't have to mean that I can't have these things that I want to have, right? If life was a remote, my gosh, life would be so much easier for all of us, but life's not a remote. But like you said, I said to them yesterday, I said, the first step is getting somebody a mentor, help, or whatever. And they're all doing that. They've all reached out, and they're at this home where they get to stay in the home with their children up to so many certain days. And they get like coaches like myself come in and speak and pour into them. And what I tell them all the time, I'm like, when you leave, when you do what I call the bounce forward, like with you, they're in the middle of their bouncing forward. They're working through this trauma that they've been through, these things that have come up in their lives, but they're still doing the things that lead them to success. They're still doing the things that, even though they have people telling them, you'll never make it without me, they're making it. They're doing the steps to make it without that person, to show themselves, not as the other person, I got this. I can do this. Even through the trauma, I can get a job. I can start a business. I can be successful at whatever I want to do. I just have to do the work while I'm going through this mess. It's like you said, was such a great, reminder for all of us that, even like for me, I lost Matthew. I can't believe it's going to be 3 years this July that it's been since he's passed. And I'm like going, when I look back to the July of 2022 until like probably January of 23, I kind of like was just floating through life. I was doing things, I was trying to work my business and things like that, but I was still doing things to bring me through my trauma, to walk me through that loss, and it doesn't mean like what you said also, we have these things, like we have these ebb and flows too. Life's not always going to be perfect. And I'm sure you can share many stories where you've had challenges come up since you started your business. But if we have like you said, tools in our toolbox, people we can come talk to, be like, to give us some guidance, that's what's really powerful. And for you to have this gift at, I want to go back to the original question, having the gift at like 10 years old and seeing it and then doing something. And then also to go through the challenges you've gone through and said, I have this gift that I want to do. And while I go through this mess, I'm going to find my way to what I want to do, which is, exactly what you're doing today. I want to kind of ask you this question because I know, like, I remember telling my son Nate one time, my younger son Nate, I'm like, yeah, Dad and I sat down with, a medium, and it's, I don't know if you know Seth Elliott, but we sat down with him one time, and my son's like, this is before I even knew you, and my son's like, Mom, really? Like, it's like foo-foo. And I'm like, I don't care what you say, but I have had your brother come to my dreams. I've had these experiences and other, before even my son passed, like my mother-in-law, I was learning to do meditation, and my good friend Sharon, we were doing this one meditation. I can't remember what it was called, but I remember sitting there, and for some reason I decided to do the meditation in my bedroom instead of over here in my office I normally do. And so we're doing this meditation, and it was like an hour. She taught me how to meditate without words, like just with my noise in my head, right? It's so powerful. And I remember as I was going through this journey, so my mother-in-law and her sister, my favorite aunt, and their brother, they were all born in that order. My mother-in-law, Aunt Olga, and Uncle Rob. And they all passed in that order, Lily. My mother-in-law, Aunt Olga, Uncle Rob, in almost the same month that they were born apart. It's so, like, the universe is so interesting. And I remember, like, never really, like, got anything from my mother-in-law while, and after she passed, I never really had those dreams where my son Matthew would be like, Mom, she was down the hallway. Didn't you see her? I'm like, I didn't see her. Like, Matt and I had this empath together thing. And so I remember doing this meditation, and my mother-in-law came in the middle of this meditation, and I was talking with her, and like, I think I cried. Sharon watches you while you do the meditation to see how you're doing. And she's like, you were laughing, you were crying, and you were saying something I couldn't make out the words. So I was talking to them too. But I remember in the middle of this meditation, it's my mother-in-law comes forward, my aunt comes forward, then all of a sudden Uncle Rob. Now, Uncle Rob could never say this is ridiculous. He could say this is ridiculous. So Uncle Rob steps around the corner and says, what about me? This is ridiculous. What's the matter with me? I remember just laughing. I came out of that meditation. I came outside. My husband was sitting in the family room outside our bedroom. And he's like, what were you doing there? I thought you would do meditation. I thought that's quietness. And I was telling the story. And to this day, it just brings me so much, peace because I finally got to have that interaction with them. So what I want to know is as you go through this and you tell people what you do, you share people what you do, like how do you help people get past the, oh, that's foo-foo, that's woo-woo. Why are you sending your money that way? Like, how do you help people understand it truly is a gift? And this is why I said at the beginning, if because your faith or whatever tells you shouldn't believe, I have this belief that God says, I'm going to give people gifts and they're going to be my gift giver. And so I look at it that's that way. People can say what they want to say, their belief, but that's for me, that's how I believe it, Lily. So what do you say to that person that's listening right now going, oh, Pearl, I'm turning you off?
Um, this is actually a question that I get asked a lot in entrepreneur circles and interviews and stuff. And my honest answer at this point in my career is nothing. So here's the thing. It is not my job to convince you that I am real. It is my job to help you be the most favorite version of yourself, not the best version of yourself. Because let's be honest, that's not something any of us really want, because then we put judgment to it and it's a quality and a quantity. I want you to be your favorite version of yourself. I want your business to thrive and do exactly what it's meant to do. My job, my existence, my life's purpose is not to prove to you that I am real. And the thing that I have said since I started seeing clients when I was 15 is I am not a performing monkey in heels. I am not here to do things on cue. If you walk up and say, well, tell me what my middle name is. Your middle name is Jackass. And I do not have time for you. I am too fabulous and helping too many amazing souls to deal with whatever you're going through. Seek therapy. And so for me, it sounds like so rare, but it's not. I love helping people. I love working with people. If you even remotely tolerate me, I will chill with you. I will work with you. But if you walk in and it's like, I don't believe you and you're with the devil says you look fat in those pants. How about that? Huh? Leave me alone. I so that's where I'm at. I only have time for people who want to explore, who are excited, who have that spark. And if you don't, that's fine. There are other practitioners who have dedicated their entire careers to converting people, to proving that they are real. I know I'm real. Obviously, a lot of other people do too. I'm in the top 1% in the country of people in this field. I don't need to prove myself to anybody. And so that's the mindset that I take. And quite frankly, it's freed up a lot of time in my life because it's no longer when people are like, I don't believe you. I'm like, okay, bye. Like that multi-million over there who pays me, 5 figures a year. I'm good. They believe me. I'm good. And with that money, I'm going to help 1,000 more people. Is that a bad thing? I don't think so. I love the path I took.
I think one of the points I take from that too is like knowing what you want to do, right? Like and owning it, like not letting like anybody get there and say, well, this or that about it, like, and you have that response. And I think that goes back to ourselves as well. Those that are listening, it's like knowing what you want to do. I knew I wanted to be a coach. I knew this is what I want to do. It doesn't mean everybody wants to work with me, and that's fine. But I knew that I wanted to teach women how to overcome people pleasing. Stop showing up for everybody else and not for yourself in your life. Because God help it, you don't know when tomorrow's not going to be here, and somebody's going to slide in and help your family's going to figure out how to do laundry and feed themselves. Somebody's going to slide into that desk chair where you're working and giving up all your man hours, but nobody can slide in and be the person you are for them when you start showing up for them more because you show up for yourself first. So it's like, one of the things I think I take away from that is for those that are listening too, is what is it you want to do and own it. Like own it. Don't let anybody be like, well, I think it's this or I don't believe that. Okay, fine. Then you're not who I want to work with, And
No.
I talked to somebody the other day and they're like, well, I want to work with everybody. I said, okay, so do you want me to send you the 2-year-old that's screaming and crying right now at the grocery store with the mother to work with him? Like, no, like, hey, you got to really figure out who do you want to work with? Like
Yeah.
I have a client that she's starting a virtual assistance business. And she's like, well, I can help social media. I go, I'm not hearing it. do you really want to help someone with social media? That's a lot of freaking work. Trust me. I know. I do my own. It's a lot of work, right? And she's like, well, I'm like, okay, then your answer to that person is, you know what? I'm not the right fit. Let me give you somebody that's the right fit. Like, have people in your arsenal. I also say too, have people in your arsenal. And here's the thing too, if you're listening, you can still make money off the referrals you give because you just say, I want an affiliate piece, whether it's 2% or whatever, you can still make money. You're not losing anything. Or you just say, I'm going to partner with this person because they're going to be a good fit for some people and they're going to send me referrals because I'm a good fit for some of their people. So I love that you were like, stay in your lane, know what it is. And okay, yeah, if you don't like it and you think I love what you said, then the devil thinks you're too fat in the pants. And I love that. I mean, it's so true. It's like, we don't think before we speak. So when we don't, and you don't like what you receive back, then why didn't you say anything to start with? I love that. That's for me. That's how I look at it too, in that way. So I'm taking it by your answer too. When people often will walk up and ask you crazy things like that. But do you ever have, I follow a couple of psychic mediums and because it's just something I love. I think there's so much there and it's so connecting for me. Do you ever, like, are you ever in a room where you walk up to somebody and be like, something's like calling you to tell them something? Have you ever had those moments? Because, okay, let's just be honest. We see what's her name on TV. I'm not going to say her name with big, poofy hair. We see her on there and be in rooms. Although I don't know how, I'm not going to say that either because I could get in trouble. But do you ever have like any of those kind of moments? And if do, what do you do with those moments?
So this is a multi-part answer, okay? One, I have been on TV shows before, okay? So I was on The Block season 5 and then I won season 9. It's an entrepreneur competition. Let me be 100% clear. What you see on camera is not even a fraction of 1% of what happens. So with other practitioners, whenever I see them, it's like we don't know if consent was asked off camera. And it's not a juicy thing to put on camera to be like, do you wanna? Every single time. So that's the first thing. It's like whenever we see something, it's like, it's been edited. I guarantee it's been edited. And so it's just something to be aware of when you watch those kinds of things. That if you agree, because I don't agree with the big hair technique, but I also don't know what's happening in the editing room. There could be a whole bunch of ethical stuff that's really, really powerful that's happening that I just don't see because it didn't make the cut for TV. So that's the first part with people who watch and are interested in psychics and mediums and stuff like that. It's edited, which is one of the reasons why I don't edit anything. Where it's like I take a clip and like post it, and everyone's like, "Why?" And I'm like, I want you to see it. I just good, bad, or ugly. I want you to see when someone asks a question, me to go, what? Um, the second part is ethically, I cannot. Pearl, we friends, we homies, right? We rock it out. We love our self care. Ethically, I cannot walk up to you and be like, "Hey, guess what?" That's not okay because I don't have your consent. And so what has to happen is for me as a professional, you better be paying me. Like, this is my time, talent, and expertise. You will pay me for what comes out of my mouth and my soul. So that's a big part of it for me. Not everyone is like that. People who are drawn to giving messages, if there's a sales pitch that comes after, assume it was crap. Assume that because here's the thing, even if the message was authentic, the intention wasn't, and therefore you have to disregard the message. So if someone gives you a message and then their next thing is, and for $3,000, I can help you. No, you can't. Get to walking. You ain't for me. So it's such a complicated. So yes, when I walk into a room, I know the spirits that are in the room. I know the energy. I can tell that you had a fight with your husband in the bathroom. But also, it's my job as the professional to put a dimmer on that and to shield myself because your life is none of my business. I do not have a right to your energy ever unless I have your consent and you pay me. And so that's a big thing with practitioners that they're like, but I'm just getting it. It's like, if you are so untrained that you cannot filter, you shouldn't be seeing clients because it's dangerous and unethical. And so in big situations like the events that we go to where there's 1,000 people, I automatically put up more shielding so that I'm not getting everything at every opportunity. And at the same time, I was at an event recently and they were talking about these different memberships and stuff. The financial one, the different memberships and stuff. I was meh. I was It was fine. I wasn't going to do it though. And then the person leading it on stage held up his phone and said, "Anyone who signs up tonight will get my personal phone number." And I literally heard, "You need to be in a room with this man." And I immediately bought the membership. And now I invest in private equity and I am great with business and finance and it's amazing. And now that person has opened so many doors and opportunities for me. But that was a psychic message for me. But as far as like, yes, we can get psychic messages about other people. The times and then there are people who will go, "Oh, will you just tell me anytime something comes up about me?" My retainer is $100,000 a year for that. Do you wanna pay that? No? Didn't think so. Because that's the thing, it's like, you want me to keep a channel open for your messages 24/7? That's a lot for me to do. This is not passive. This is active. And so if that's what you want, you can pay me 6 figures, and I will happily take your 6 figures and shoot you a message at 2 in the morning when I'm in a bubble bath and randomly get a ping about your dog. Happily do that for $100,000. Not for a penny less, though. And so that is my very long, multifaceted answer. It's like, yes, it's possible. Yes, you get them. Lots of caveats.
But I think also it goes, and I love that you, and the way you laid it out and showed us too. I think it also has to remind us that that's how we need to approach our life as well. Like we talk about self care, we have to talk about what we're letting into our boundaries, right? Like you set up your shield, you got the boundaries about when you're going to walk in the room, what you're going to allow spiritually to be around you, and how you're going to work at something, and how if that person comes, like you said, and says, "Well, just tell me whenever." Okay, this is how I'll do that. It's not just like I'm going to call you because my time's valuable too, right? And
Yep.
so it reminds us too that even if you're not somebody like Lily, and if you're you don't even no matter what you're doing, even for me, I have boundaries. I mean, I talk about how I've divorced my parents because of boundaries, because of things that they did, said, or acted that are not healthy for me and or my family. So yeah, and somebody said, and we talked about this. It's so funny. We talked about this last night at the meeting. What do you do when you hear, but they're your parents, right? And I'm like, okay, so let me ask you this.
You make that face.
Yeah, I do. I'm like, I literally go, really? So if it was an abusive situation from a spouse or a boyfriend, you want me to stay with them? Well, no. I'm like, so why is it different for my parents?
Mhm.
Why should I accept the fact my mom and dad want to do actions that could harm me and or my family? Right.
Mhm.
So we have to have those boundaries. I think, and what I got from all of what you shared is that you know what you want, you know how you're going to do it, and you know who you're going to serve. And then you also know how you're going to serve them. And if they don't like those parameters you have set, then guess what? They're not the right person for you to work with. So it's just like that in life. You know what you want your boundaries are. And if somebody doesn't want to honor your boundaries, then you know what you need to do. You know, the actions you have to take to not have them within I call it my football field. I'm a big football fan, but they can't play by the rules you set, then they don't come in. I love that you remind us of that. I think it's really, really powerful. So let's talk about the people who do hire you. Let's talk about the people that you're working with, the people like you explained, like what are some of the things you do and how do you guide them through, like a business, like somebody like me as a business person, or maybe the mom who just wants some, help me handle these crazy kids and this crazy life. How do you, what are some of the steps they do and how does that look for your clients?
So the fun thing is that everything is different. There is a general template for well, we'll get the more unrealistic one out of the way first. So for my pro athletes, 400 million and more a year they make. Those are completely VIP customizable. You pay me an obscene amount of money. I give you a chunk of my sanity type of thing. So those are all like intensives around the country one-on-one and they get to text or call me. I don't have to answer if I'm sleeping. But they get way more access to me. And so there's that, and it's very VIP and customizable. And then there's my membership clients, and then there's like different tiers of the membership. And basically, I believe okay, I looked this up recently. What is the difference between encouragement and empowerment? Because I was really interested in it. I got obsessed with it. Encouragement is cheerleading. And do not get me wrong, I have branded pom-poms of my business colors, okay? I have them in my healing space. I have them in my office. I will cheer you on. Empowerment, because people say empowerment all the time in spiritual and women's spaces, right? What does empowerment actually mean? And when you look at the two in contrast, empowerment means support, knowledge, resources, faith, confidence. That's what I give my clients. That's what I give every single one of my clients. Those things through empowerment. I empower them to live their favorite life, to manifest, and to do all the woo things. And the way I do that is through every membership, every 14 days. So every full moon and new moon gets a 3-card reading, and it's just for them. I turn on the camera on my laptop and I do readings all day. And then I send the video with like a synopsis with an email to every single one of my membership clients. So every 14 days, you're getting support no matter what. Every 14 days, you are getting a message that is just for you about what you need to focus on, because life doesn't happen in a vacuum. It's not supposed to. How awful is that? I hate when people are like, okay, so you're going to see me once a month or once a season. And then it's like a week later, your life blows up and you have to wait 3 more weeks before you see them. No. And then, so that's a big part of it, is that every 14 days, no matter what, you have a touchstone with your spirituality. And then the one-on-one sessions that you get, it can be anywhere from 15 minutes to 90 minutes a month based on your membership. And that's one-on-one time with me. That's access to me. We can work on your intuition. We can customize your self-care around your ADHD, which is so much fun and so interesting because everyone's neurospicy is a different flavor of hot sauce. And so some people they do 60 minutes with me every month and they just want Reiki. They don't even want me to speak. They're like, I don't need words. I want to sit here and have the Reiki. And then when I'm done, maybe you can tell me an intuitive message or two, and then I'm gonna go. So it really depends upon what the person wants. Some people want to talk to a best-selling author always wants to talk to her spirit guides because they help her write her books. There is an entrepreneur who makes several $1 million a year being a third-party distributor, and he only wants to talk about legal stuff. So do tarot readings about what is the law going to look like moving forward, or a lawsuit that's coming up or anything like that. He loves learning about that. Recently, one of my new clients had a baby. I love kids. I love kids. And what they wanted, they were like, okay, so I got a message in a picture within 24 hours of that baby being out of the oven. And it was like birth date, time, place, astrology question mark. And they got a full chart. I did the full chart for the baby and how that baby is going to interact with them so that they would be better parents. A month before the baby was born, they had me down in Florida, actually, of all places, to do a one-on-one session with the parents to be like, this is what your astrology is. This is what the mom's astrology is. This is how you're going to interact with a baby. Let's discuss it. Let's figure out the roadblocks and what your strengths are. And they felt so much better as parents. They're like, we feel like equipped now to handle this. So, and I know it sounds so weird because it's like, oh, it's just a bunch of things, but that's what it is. What do you need? It's not about me. What do you need? I'm here for you. As long as it's not like butchering a cow, I'm fairly chill with whatever anything woo, whatever you need. I got it in my toolbox. Let's go. And so that's what it's about. Empowerment. It's about support. It is about making sure that you're the hero of your own story. I laugh. I always tell people, I'm like, I am not Luke Skywalker. I am Yoda. I will crawl up on your back and whisper in your ear to use the Force, but I am not going to defeat Darth Vader for you. That's a you thing. So you I'm here to help. I'm Yoda. Look at the green. I am Yoda. And one of the reasons that is because when I was born, my mom said I looked like Yoda. And she knew I would be beautiful because I looked like Yoda. I looked like an alien when I was born. And I was like, your rationale ain't quite there, but I do appreciate it. I mean, look at this. Look at this Yoda.
Love that. I love that your mom did that too. That's so sweet. We tell our kids the craziest things, you guys, the craziest things. So I love how you laid out too, like this is what you do and this is how you do it, right? And it's like you said, you become the hero of your own story, and what you want is what they work with you to get. And it varies by person, whether it's babies, which we all love babies, to athletes, whatever that is in between. And so those that are listening are going, oh my God, I need to talk to Lily because I just looked at our time is getting short. I love talking about Lily because our time flies by. So Lily, tell everybody that person's going, I want to reach out to her. Tell me now. Tell me now. Tell them how they can reach out to you.
So, two main ways lilyofthelight.com, Lily, like the flower, .com is my website, and you can schedule a session directly through there or social media. It is all Lily of the Light. It's all just blanket the same. I am a good millennial. I am on social media. If you message me, I will message you back.
Awesome. And we're going to put that all in the show notes so everybody can find it and reach out to Lily and connect with her because I think you should connect with her because she's such a beautiful spirit. And I'm not just saying that because of what she does, but she really is a beautiful spirit. And so, Lily, before we let you go, I don't know if you remember from before when you were on, but we have our cards. So we have our own kind of cards, Lily, over here. So these cards are called Better Question, Better Life. And for those that are new to the show, I don't make any money on this, but if you want to have a card to pull every day, there's over 70 cards in here that you can either meditate on, journal on, or just read to start your day. Just go to betterquestionsbetterlife.com. My dear friend Carol and her friend Diane put these together. So I'm going to shuffle them and Lily's going to tell me when to stop. And we're going to read the card and have her answer the card for us. So here we go.
Ooh, we're doing this through intuition. All right, here we go.
Tell me when to stop.
Stop.
Ooh, I like how far she got me. Oh, I think this is so perfect for you because I think you've been kind of answering it. What is success?
Success, honestly, success is safety.
Mm-hmm.
Success is freedom. Success is autonomy. And that sounds so weird for people. But when you come from a traumatic past, when people ask, like, what does money mean to you? What does success mean to you? It means safety. It means you have options. It means you are in control of your own life. And that's what success, when I got success, it was probably, honestly, I'm like tearing up. I'm so sorry. It was probably one of the most healing things I did for my trauma was becoming successful because I realized that I had options that I never thought that I had. I never thought that safety was a choice growing up. It wasn't an option. And then when I became successful, I was like, safety. I'm safe. I'm happy. I am perfectly content. And that is what success looks like. And I believe that however you interpret success, that everyone deserves success in the form of safety, period.
That is so beautiful and powerful. Yeah, success is safety. It's a great picture of success. I've never heard it that way, and I think it's something I will remember from now on. That that there is success and safety. And sometimes, if you're listening to us and think that there's not, we're here to tell you there is. And you can reach out to Lily. You can reach out to me. You can like and subscribe below or follow. Reach out. We'll get you all connected to either one of us because we want you to feel that safety as well. So, Lily, I want to thank you so much for coming on. I want to thank you for coming back and being part of our new name show, Soulful Self-Care and Conversations. And I just can't wait to see all the great things you're going to be doing. And Lily and I are talking about somehow, some way getting her to one of our retreats. So keep an eye out and watch for that. But in the meantime, I want to remind each and every one of you coming to this world, you have this rough shell. You've got to open up that oyster. But once you open up the oyster, not only are you going to find your SHERO, but you're going to find your inner pearl of greatness. So I hope you go out today and I hope you find your inner pearl of greatness. Have a great day. Oh my gosh, you guys, that was such a fun conversation. I love having Lily on the show. She's such a beautiful soul, and there's no pun intended with that. But one of the things that really struck me today, and I want to remind you, and that is The first one is, how are you entering the rooms? Like, how are you entering rooms that you think you don't belong in? What's stopping you from entering rooms that you belong in, but you're letting yourself say, I don't belong in there? Because also the other part of that is, how are you becoming the SHERO of your own story? Lily called it hero of your own story. I'm gonna call it SHERO. How are you showing up stronger? How are you showing up happier? How are you showing up more empowered, more radiant and original self you're meant to be? When you don't enter the rooms that you belong in because you're telling yourself you're not worthy, I want you to know that's false evidence appearing real. That's fear that's keeping you back. And if that's something you're struggling with, I want to empower you with some help around that. So down below, like and share, but book a time with me. Have your SHERO mini session with me. Let's talk about that. Let me help give you some tips and tricks just to get you in some of the rooms that you're not walking into. I hope you had a great time listening to this episode, and I hope you go out and become the SHERO that you're meant to be. Have a great day.